boys, high ticket closing is, in my opinion, the fastest, easiest, and most achievable way to make your first 10 to 30k a month online. But if we're being completely honest, it does come with a little bit of a cap, a bit of a ceiling. Typically, that ceiling is around about 30k a month. Now, I know that there are closers who make more than that. I know many of them personally, but in my experience, closers making more than, say, 35k a month consistently, it's not even a minority, it's more like an outlier. So the fact is, if you are a high ticket closer and you do have ambitions of scaling your income to 50k a month, 100k a month and beyond, you're going to, at some point, need a slightly different vehicle. And what you're going to need is to layer on top more skills on top of your closing skill. And what will happen is, with every new skill that you develop and layer on top, you will unlock the next level of income. So in this video, I'm going to take you guys through an exact roadmap to follow to go from making 10k a month as a closer to making over 100k a month as an offer owner, along with what skills you need to develop at each stage to unlock the next level of income. So let's dive in. Okay. Now, level one is the obvious one, and that is closing. You need the skill of closing. And this, when you have the skill of closing, this is where we can hit those 10 to 30k a month, that kind of range of numbers. Again, of course, I do know closers that are making 40, 50k, but again, like we spoke about, it's a bit of an outlier. So generally speaking, call it 10 to 30k a month when you have the skill of closing. Now, here's an important thing, guys. In my opinion, at this level, you have to be able to close deals from cold traffic. Very, very important. Now, obviously, there are some offers out there where, you know, maybe the founder just has a really strong personal brand. Maybe all the leads are organic and quite warm. But the thing is that if you're going to go to the higher levels, as we're going to speak about in this video, and you're going to eventually own the offer, unless you have a really strong personal brand yourself, which 99% of you won't, you're going to be closing deals from cold traffic, which is why it's so important that, you know, I mean, most of you guys will be closing cold traffic anyway. But it's really, really important that you just dial that in and you can consistently close cold traffic, because you're going to need it when you get to the next levels, as we're going to talk about in a second. Now, after that, the next level, level two, is hiring and managing. We're going to layer on top the skill of hiring and managing. Now, by now, you've got the skill of closing. If you can layer on top the skill of hiring and managing, that is where we can get to that kind of 30 to 50k a month range. Because at this level, you can become a sales manager full-time under one offer, or you can run more of like a fractional sales manager role where you're working across multiple offers. There's positives and negatives to both, which I won't get into right now. Now, typically when you're a sales manager, you will be on, this is generally speaking, you know, every offer is going to be different, but generally speaking, you're going to be on a base salary of about 10k a month plus a profit share. Now, the key thing is that 10k a month, like, fuck that, we're not interested in that, right? Like, especially if you've been a closer for a while, you're used to making 15, 20, 30k a month. Like, we're not interested in a 10k a month salary. We are interested in the profit share. So for that reason, what I really recommend here, guys, is that you want to try and manage for somewhat, like, the ideal situation is that you have an offer where the founder has a very strong personal brand. They're pulling in a lot of organic leads, but the founder doesn't have a lot of sales experience. And on top of that, they don't really like it either. Because we're looking for offers that have big potential for scale, because we're going to get a share, we're going to get a profit share, we're going to get the slice of the pie of that scale. So we really want to pick out offers that have that potential to scale. So if you have a founder with a good personal brand, but just is absolutely just, you know, terrible at sales, you can come in, you can build a sales process, optimize the sales process, hire some really good closers, manage them well, and literally you will take that offer to, like, boom, just 200, 300, 400k a month very quickly. And again, you'll be getting a slice of that. So once you've got your closing skill down, guys, you can then layer on top the hiring and managing skill, and that's where you can hit 30 to 50k a month. And truly you can go beyond that, but call it 30 to 50. But now the level beyond that, this is when we start to talk the big numbers. This is when we move into actually being the offer owner. Now, really, really key here, guys. By this point in your career, you've got the skill of closing, you've got the skill of hiring and managing, but now if you can layer on top the skill of appointment booking, that is when you will get very, very wealthy. You know, when you have the skill of closing, you can get rich, you know, call it. I know there's some people that say, you know, that would say multi-six figures a year isn't rich. Fair enough. But ultimately, guys, you can go from rich to wealthy. Once you have the skill of being able to close deals and you know how to drive cold traffic, I mean, yeah, that's when you change your life, frankly. So if you think about this, guys, when you're a closer, you're picking up about 10 to 15% of the revenue, typically. When you're a sales manager, you're on a profit share scheme, you're making maybe 5 to 10% of the profit. When you're the offer owner, you're making more like 60, 70, potentially even 80% plus of the profit, depending on a few factors. So this, guys, is really where we really hit the big numbers. But to do this, we have to have the skill of appointment booking. We need to know how to drive cold traffic. Again, if you know how to close deals, you can become rich. If you know how to close deals and drive cold traffic, you will get very, very wealthy. So this is actually what I do in my program, which is called Six Figure Remote. I teach the closing skills. So I teach this level 1 here. I get somebody elite at closing. I get them placed into an elite offer and making 20, 30K a month. But then what a lot of people don't know is that I also teach this skill as well, appointment booking. It's essentially along the lines of this philosophy. I get somebody making 20, 30K a month, good closing skill. Then I teach them the skill of appointment booking. And that is when their income and life just changes. So that program is called 7 Figure Remote. I've got my main program, 6 Figure Remote, which teaches the skill of closing, gets you placed into a good offer, gets you making 20, 30K a month. 7 Figure Remote, which comes if you buy the main program, that's where, we really sit down together, we dial in your offer, we dial in your appointment booking system, which will most likely be ads. I'm a massive fan of ads just because of a few constraints that come with organic. But yeah, we'll really dial it in. So links in the description for that if you are potentially interested. Now, there is another level though, boys. There is another level. Sure, once you have the skill of closing, the skill of hiring and managing, and the skill of appointment booking, being able to drive cold traffic, sure, you can be at low 6 figures a month. But if you want to get to the big numbers, and transparently, guys, I am not there yet, but I have plenty of mentors, guys like Charlie Morgan, who are, and this is what they say. Once you have all of the above skills, if you can layer on top the skill of building a genuinely good product and being a good leader, again, that is where you hit the generational wealth, 500K a month, potentially even $1 million a month plus. So at this level, you need to be able to consistently book appointments from cold traffic. You need to be an effective leader. And this is important. Leadership is different to management because at this level, guys, you're not kind of like actively managing, a big team of people. You're more managing the managers. So when you're a sales manager, you're managing maybe, 6 to 10 closers. But when you're the offer owner and you're the leader, you're managing the sales manager. You're managing the CMO, which is the chief marketing officer, etc. You're managing managers, and that is leadership. Very, very key to be a good leader if you want to hit these levels. So you need to know how to book appointments from cold traffic. You need to be an effective leader. You need to know how to hire and manage. And by the way, guys, this is so key if you're the offer owner, because what I found from both my experience and, again, my mentors that are doing, 7 figures a month plus, it becomes a game of people, genuinely. Like, there comes a stage where all that matters is having A players on your team. If you have a team of A players, you will unlock the big numbers, and again, your life will change. So knowing how to identify A players, how to hire them, how to manage them and keep them is so key. I mean, you could say that, your income ultimately depends on it at this level, okay? Very, very important. And then you also need to know how to have a genuinely good product, because like I spoke about here, guys, all 3 teams I've worked on that were doing over $1 million a month, all of them had a genuinely good product. And I don't think that that's a coincidence. If we're being really honest, like, my observation is that getting to 100K a month is actually somewhat easy. Somewhat easy. You essentially need to know how to close deals and drive cold traffic. That's it. If you can do that, you're at 50, 100K a month plus. But the thing is, once you start talking of the scale of, 500K a month, $1 million a month plus, that's big scale. And if you have a shitty product, word is going to spread very, very quickly. It's going to ruin your reputation, and ultimately the business will eventually die out. So, for example, like, when working on Charlie Morgan's team, I'm no longer working for Charlie. I'm not affiliated with him in any way. I have no incentive to say this, but just truthfully, what I think, he has a brilliant product, genuinely. It's a very, very good product. And because of that, he kind of builds this like brand where people really trust him. There's people in the comments, showing lots of love to him. Other potential customers see that, and you just kind of create this aura of like, this guy's good, and that's, in my opinion, what you need to hit those numbers, $1 million a month plus. You also need a lot of testimonials and social proof to get to that scale. And where does that come from? That comes from having a genuinely good product. And this is something that, by the way, I massively take this into my own business right now. Like, the thing is, guys, obviously I've been closing, I've closed millions of dollars, taken thousands of calls, and I've also bought all of the main courses out there. I'm not going to, drop specific names and call anyone out, but I've bought all the main sales courses. And I really built my program around what all those courses missed out. Because in my opinion, all those courses missed out a couple of, you know, really key things, right? And if you click the link in the description and watch my video, my VSL, I mentioned about what some of those things are. And I really, I locked in for this product. Like, I knew that I want a long-term sustainable business. I want something that people talk about and like that is known in the industry as like, that is the best product. That is the best product for high ticket closing. So again, I took that from Charlie Morgan. Just everybody wants to talk about sales processes, funnels, ads, and that's all fine, but barely anybody talks about just having a genuinely good product. So I learned that from Charlie, the importance of having a good product, and I now apply it to my own business. I really do believe, of course I've got a biased opinion, but I do believe that my program is the best high ticket closing training and recruiting program on the planet. I truly believe that because I spent so much time on it, because I care so much about genuinely having a good product. And by the way, the benchmark to have a good product, in my opinion, is where you're hitting about 90% positive reviews, right? 90% positive on Trustpilot, or if you've got your own kind of internal customer feedback. That's another big thing that I'm massive on in my business is customer feedback. Like, you know, just gathering so much data. Hey, what do you think about this? What are your honest thoughts? What do you like? What do you dislike? And then adjusting the product accordingly. But, you know, you can't get 100% in business, but I think once you're hitting 90% positive reviews and customer satisfaction, you can safely say you've got a good product. So there it is, boys. If you want to get to 100K a month plus, this is the exact route that you need to follow. You need to first off, you know, lock in the skill of closing. Again, I can help you with that if you want. The link's in the description. Get your income to 10, 30K a month, and you have to be able to close cold traffic. Then if you can layer on top the skill of hiring and managing, that's where you can drop into sales management and make more like 30 to 50K a month. Or you can also, I mean, you can technically skip that stage. Like many people do that. They go from closing straight to owning the offer. That's fine. Or you can kind of follow, you know, closer, sales manager, then offer owner. But then guys, so by this point, you've got the skill of closing, hiring, and managing. If you can then layer on top the skill of appointment booking, where you know how to drive the traffic yourself, this is where you unlock the big numbers, the 6 figures a month. And then if you can layer on top the skill of building a genuinely good product and being a good leader, I mean, that's when you hit the generational wealth. So it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you are potentially interested in working with me further, click the link in the description, watch that video. If it aligns with you, schedule a call with me, and I'll see you in the next video.